Rangers' season has truly gone from bad to worse. What started as a campaign filled with high hopes has now fizzled into disappointment, capped off by their recent elimination from the Europa League. That early European exit not only stripped the club of any silverware ambitions this term, but left them staring down the barrel of another trophyless season. With little left to fight for in the closing matches, all eyes from the Ibrox faithful are now turning towards the next campaign, desperate for signs of life structure and, above all, improvement. But just when supporters thought things couldn't get much worse, Rangers have been dealt a brutal European blow that could complicate their route back to the Champions League. The timing of this blow couldn't be more frustrating, with Manchester United brushing aside Athletic Club by 3-0 in the first leg of their Europa League semi-final. The consequences for Rangers extend beyond the current season. It means that unless Athletic somehow mount a miracle comeback at Old Trafford, a scenario that looks almost impossible, the Light Blues will be forced into the league path in the Champions League qualifiers. That places them in the second qualifying round, where the opponents will be far from favorable. We're talking potential ties against teams like Austria Vienna or Sevet brand clubs that might not sound terrifying on paper, but who are more than capable of upsetting a Scottish side that hasn't yet settled its squad nor its identity. The difference is massive. Had Athletic Club managed to win the Europa League and also qualify for the Champions League via La Liga Rangers due to UEFA's coefficient system, would have been bumped up to the more forgiving Champions path, entering one stage later in the third qualifying round. That would have meant fewer games, easier opponents, and a better chance of reaching the group stage. Instead, it now looks like a much tougher road ahead. And for a club in transition, that's a nightmare scenario. The defeat of Athletic in the first leg is more than just a result. It's a blow that might force the Ibrox side to reshuffle their preseason plans entirely. On the domestic front, despite flashes of brilliance, consistency has completely deserted Rangers this year. Chris Boyd didn't hold back in his assessment. He believes Rangers have been miles off it. And he's not wrong. Yes, they've managed to beat Celtic twice in recent encounters. At New Year, the Ibrox side produced one of their best performances of the season, cruising to a 3-0 win with goals from Giannis Robin Proper and Danilo. Yeah, then in March, they pulled off a dramatic 3-2 win at Parkhead thanks to goals from Nicholas Raskin, Mohamed Diamande, and Hamza Eigerman. Those were big wins, no doubt, but the bigger picture is troubling. Heading into this weekend, they sit 17 points behind their Glasgow rivals. That tells the real story of the season. Boyd made a point that while the upcoming derby isn't technically a dead rubber, its irrelevance to the title race exposes just how inconsistent Rangers have been. The match still carries emotional weight. It always does when these two giants face off, but there's no hiding the fact that the result won't change the standings. Celtic will bring around 2,000 supporters to Ibrox, hoping to spoil the party. Brendan Rodgers will want his side to win in style, while Rangers in front of their home fans will be desperate to put on a show. But once the final whistle blows, reality sets back in, and that reality is clear. Rangers haven't been good enough. And now there's uncertainty off the pitch too. The club is still without a permanent manager after Philippe Clement's dismissal back in February. Barry Ferguson stepped in as interim boss, and while he's had a couple of bright moments, he still hasn't secured a win at Ibrox in 90 minutes. This weekend, he'll get another chance to change that. But regardless of the result, Rangers need a long-term plan. The search for Clement's replacement is ongoing, and the appointment of Kevin Felwell as sporting director adds a new layer to the rebuild. Jamie Murphy, who knows Rangers well, thinks there would be clear improvement if Steven Gerrard were to return to the helm. Under Gerrard, the club saw a period of stability and success that had been missing for years. He brought professionalism, structure, and most importantly, belief. Murphy remembers how things were before Gerrard arrived. The training ground was falling apart, the club lacked direction, and there was chaos behind the scenes. Gerrard brought his own staff-raised standards and ultimately led the team to a league title. That impact is hard to ignore. And though the current state of the club isn't as dire as it was back then, Murphy believes Gerrard could still bring significant improvement if he were to come back. But nothing is set in stone. Gerrard, after leaving Ibrox, struggled to replicate his success elsewhere. His stints at Aston Villa and Al Ettifaq didn't yield the results many expected, and for now, he remains out of work. Whether he's the man to lead Rangers again is up for debate. What's not up for debate, though, is the scale of the job that lies ahead for Kevin Felwell. Alan Hutton, former Rangers defender, didn't sugarcoat his thoughts. He called it an almighty job. Felwell, who is leaving Everton to take over as sporting director once his contract expires, arrives at a club that needs more than just a few tweaks. Hutton pointed out that while Felwell has experience in England and even the United States with the New York Red Bulls, nothing fully prepares you for the pressure cooker that is Glasgow football. Competing with Celtic is not just about building a squad. It's about managing expectations, dealing with pressure, and delivering results fast. Felwell's first big test will be the summer transfer window, but as Hutton warned, fans can't expect miracles overnight. Even if a takeover happens and brings in significant investment, turning Rangers into a title-winning side again will take time. The squad needs serious surgery. Recruitment needs to be smarter. Leadership on and off the pitch needs to be restored. And all of this has to happen while trying to navigate early Champions League qualifiers, a new manager, and a fan base hungry for success. Felwell's CV is solid. He's worked at clubs with big expectations. But as Hutton said, pedigree alone doesn't guarantee success at Rangers. This isn't a project where you get 3 years to build. Pressure mounts from the first day. Every draw feels like a loss. Every loss like a crisis. That's the reality in Garvin. So here we are. Rangers limping towards the end of another disappointing season, needing answers, needing leadership, and needing a strategy. The challenges are piling up. Champions League complications, managerial uncertainty, a new sporting director with everything to prove. For the fans, patience might be the hardest thing to ask for, but it's also the only realistic path forward. This rebuild won't be easy, and it won't be quick, but it needs to start now with clarity, conviction, and a deep understanding of what it takes to bring glory back to Ibrox. And while the club begins laying the foundations for a crucial summer rebuild, the pressure continues to mount. Rangers supporters have grown tired of hearing about potential. They want results. They want a squad that can genuinely go toe-to-toe with Celtic over the course of a full season, not just in isolated derbies. They want European nights that matter, deep into spring, not group stage exits or early knockouts. And above all, they want to believe again. That belief has wavered lately, and it's going to take a proper shift in mentality and ambition to win it back. The mood around Ibrox has become one of restlessness. And there's a sense that despite all the talk about plans and vision, Rangers have been drifting. And the supporters are right to feel that way. After the title-winning campaign under Gerrard, many expected the club to push on to build a dynasty that could dominate domestically and challenge abroad. But instead, what followed was regression, instability, and confusion. The managerial changes, questionable signings, and lack of progress in Europe have left a bitter taste. Now, with another summer of transition ahead, there's an undeniable sense that this could be a make-or-break period for the club. Kevin Felwell will have to get up to speed quickly. From identifying a new manager who fits both the identity of the club and the demands of the league to overseeing what might be one of the most important transfer windows in years, every decision he makes will be under the microscope, and he won't have the luxury of time. The qualifying rounds for the Champions League begin early, and there's a real possibility Rangers could face strong continental sides while still ironing out basic elements of their squad. A bad result in Europe could be a disaster, not just financially, but in terms of confidence and momentum. And that's why the choice of manager is so crucial. Whoever takes over must command instant respect, understand the pressure that comes with managing Rangers, and have a clear tactical philosophy. It's not just about coaching, it's about managing egos, expectations, and a fan base that demands excellence. Names will be floated, interviews will be conducted, but whoever gets the nod has to be ready from day one. There's no preseason grace. A period in Glasgow. One poor result and the questions start flying. Barry Ferguson, in the meantime, continues to steady the ship. He's earned respect through his commitment and knowledge of the club, and he's shown glimpses of being able to inspire performances in big games. But whether he's the man to take the project forward permanently is another matter entirely. His current run is being seen more as a caretaker role, and while he may still be considered, it's likely the board will look elsewhere for a longer-term solution. Still, Ferguson will want to make a statement against Celtic this weekend. Ending the season on a high note could be massive, not just for him, but for the players who need something to build from going into the summer. Speaking of players, there's no escaping the fact that this squad needs major work. Several names are expected to leave. Others have failed to justify their place, and the lack of consistent leadership on the pitch has been glaring. Rangers need winners. They need players who understand what it means to wear that badge. Too often this season, performances have lacked urgency, aggression, and purpose. That simply won't cut it anymore. The next group brought in must not only raise the quality, but also the mentality of the dressing room. And while fans often focus on marquee signings, some of the most important decisions will come down to recruitment strategy. The club can't afford more flops. Every pound spent has to count. Whether it's bringing in experienced heads who've been through Champions League qualifiers or hungry young talents ready to prove themselves, the balance has to be right. There's no room for error. Because if Rangers are to close the gap to Celtic and restore their place in Europe's elite, the rebuild has to be spot on, not just hopeful. Then there's the matter of leadership off the pitch. With the possible takeover from 49 Enterprises still unresolved, uncertainty hangs over the club's direction. Investment structure and ambition all depend on the outcome of that process. It's a lot for any club to juggle, let alone one trying to fight its way back to the top. Fans are rightly asking questions. Who's making the big decisions? What's the long-term plan? And is there real alignment between the boardroom and the technical staff? These aren't easy questions, but they're vital ones. Because for any rebuild to succeed, there has to be unity from top to bottom. Alan Hutton summed it up best. It's an almighty job, and he's been around long enough to know what that really means. Rangers need to get their house in order quickly. With Champions League qualifiers just around the corner, there's no time to waste. And that's the brutal reality of football in Glasgow. The expectations are relentless, the pressure is constant, and the margin for error is razor thin. But here's the thing, despite all the chaos, despite all the frustration, there is still something powerful at Rangers. The weight of the shirt, the history, the fan base. That energy, when channeled correctly, can be a force like no other. The fans might be angry, they might be demanding, but they care deeply. They feel Ibrox even when things are falling apart. They travel across the country, across the continent, to follow their team. They've seen the glory days and they're desperate to see them again. The next few months will define more than just a season. They'll shape the future of the club. With the right decisions, with real leadership and smart planning, Rangers can rise again. But it's going to take guts, vision, and a whole lot of hard work. Because nothing comes easy at Ibrox and nothing ever should. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. James Bisgrove has sent shockwaves across Scottish football after dropping a bombshell about the inner workings of Rangers Football Club. In an unexpected and controversial statement, Bisgrove, who had been closely linked to the Ibrox board in recent years, claimed that corruption runs deep within the club's hierarchy. A revelation that has stunned supporters and drawn widespread media attention. The former commercial director, known for his polished image and instrumental role in boosting the club's revenues, broke his silence in an exclusive interview that aired late Tuesday. Speaking with a grim expression, he revealed that certain board members had engaged in questionable financial practices and backdoor dealings that, according to him, have compromised the integrity and soul of the Rangers institution. Bisgrove stopped short of naming specific individuals, but made it clear that he believes some within the club's leadership have been prioritizing personal interests over the future of the team. The reaction has been fierce. Fans, already divided by the team's recent performances and managerial decisions, are now grappling with the idea that their beloved club could be mired in scandal. Outside Ibrox, supporters gathered in disbelief, waving banners and demanding a full investigation into the claims. Social media has erupted with calls for transparency, accountability, and immediate resignations. Rangers have yet to issue an official response to Bisgrove's accusations, but sources inside the club have hinted at an emergency board meeting being scheduled. The Scottish FA is reportedly monitoring the situation closely, with pressure mounting to launch an independent inquiry if the club fails to act swiftly. While the full scope of the alleged corruption remains unclear, Bisgrove's statements have cast a dark cloud over one of Scotland's most storied football institutions. For a club that prides itself on tradition and honor, the coming days could define not only its leadership's credibility, but also its very identity in the eyes of the fans. Greetings, fans! Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comment section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.